Hello and welcome to the Brother Slam. My name's Cam, and this series is Crowdfunding Miscellanea. Basically, just sharing lots of cool, fun projects I get to see from being in the space. Mostly kind of fun, emerging indie stuff, and then yeah, mostly fun, cool, emerging indie stuff. This series has so far basically just been TTRPGs, which is great, but I did want to extend it to board games, tabletop wargaming stuff too. So this is going to be the first board game, which I'm excited to share. So SHEOL 2.0 Midnight Odyssey. This isn't a fun emerging indie, but I would still consider it like a more indie project. And I mean, to be fair, like this series doesn't need to be just indie stuff. Like I cover Trench Crusade and all kinds of stuff, which prior to their crowdfunding campaign could be called indie. But indie in general is, sorry, here we go off on a random tangent to start the series, this video here. But indie is such an interesting term because it can be so many different things and still fit within like the umbrella of indie. But anyways, we're not here to talk about semantics. We're here to talk about cool games. So let's jump into that with Sheol 2.0 Midnight Odyssey. So why do I still call them indie-ish? And again, not that that's too relevant. They launched on Kickstarter, oh gosh, a couple years ago now. I think pre-COVID, during COVID, I can't remember. I think before COVID, and raised 300 or just over that euros. So a solid, successful campaign. But they haven't really made as much stuff. They being Lunar Oak Studio since. There's been a few like smaller games or one smaller game. I can't remember. Yeah, I think two-ish smaller games. And this is kind of a return to their first like bread and butter, big, ginormous, huge game. And I want to cover it because it's freaking sweet. It kind of reminds me of the I don't think I would call Kingdom Death grimdark, but like the darkness of Kingdom Death, shall we say, just with a sci-fi, more narrative bend to it, which is really cool. So a couple of similarities with Kingdom Death, but extremely evocative in its own way. So let's jump in. That was definitely a long enough preamble. So, Midnight Odyssey. Sheol 2.0 is a new edition of the critically acclaimed sci fi game Sheol. This is a solo, co op, 1 to 4 player campaign game set in a unique sci fi world shrouded in eternal night. And as you can see from the stuff scrolling by here, and at time of funding, you can parse this through. We're at 71,000 euros already, which is sweet. They launched at the time of recording. I think this is probably about the same day. Today, which is great to see. So, welcome to Eternal Night. This is that same little thing. Experience a rich 100k word narrative. Little note about seeking publishing partners, which is fair. Like I think one thing I see quite often is first time or smaller publishing houses like being asked by backer community to like, hey, we want it in our native tongue. Like we need this language. We need this language, which like is all well and good. So respect the heck out of that. Like speaking as someone who can only speak one language, like I can only imagine trying to parse multiple different languages to be able to play a game cohesively. Um, but I feel like for smaller publishers, it's such a challenging ask because printing is extremely expensive, editing is extremely expensive, and then when you're trying to break down your print run by having a print run of English, a print run of Polish, print run of Spanish, whatever it might be, that's just extra cost because any sort of bulk savings is now reduced because one, in the language version, you're going to be printing less of them, which is more expensive. And then it cuts into like how many of your bigger print run you're doing too. So it's a huge ask. So I think doing a seeking publishing partners and having goals kind of based on this and especially doing digital rather than physical is the way to do it, in my opinion, unless you're a big established person or entity or have connections in like the editing language space. But yeah, so always good to see people trying to do it, and I think that this is probably the most responsible way to do it. We go with some of the box art. So base game, a miniatures box, a legacy expansion, the new expansion, and the Citadel expansion, which is some revised content. I think that this is a fantastic start. It's a little bit of preview feedback or campaign page feedback, shall we say. A fantastic start to the page here too, where we have the evocative welcome with the evocative art of the setting. This is the Citadel. There's some player characters there in the dark world. Quick pitch of what the game is, little symbols showing like what you can kind of expect, which is nice. And then the box art, which is always a good show, followed by a spread of the game showing how freaking heckin' chonky this beast is, for lack of better words. Explore pure sci-fi set in an original, coherent universe. Let me get some red here. I'm pretty sure the red is tied into the new expansion, Midnight Odyssey. Whereas all of the kind of dark and blue, I know there is some red in the basement too, I believe. We'll keep going though. Stretch pay, good stuff. Stable pledge, good stuff. Follower gift. So if you follow ahead of time, you'll get a Metal Scout ID tag. Cool, cool, cool. What backer said. So again, this game being a little bit older, and not old by a long shot, but older, having a BGG of 8.3 is great. Some quotes from, I'm assuming, BGG people. I think having quotes from just random users on BGG is whatever, it's fine. Like, it's fine. But having like actual quotes from like known reviewers or known entities just has a much stronger appeal to it in my opinion. But still, having some quotes, and these are great quotes, is good, especially backed up by the BGG score there too. What? Ah, there we go. What influencer said. So okay, you know what? That's freaking sweet. We have a quick little review section of what users think, and then a slightly expanded professional influencer reviewer kind of piece there too. So cool stuff there. This is like Death Stranding plus Expedition 33 as a board game by King Beverage. That's a fun little quote, actually. I don't know if it's just me personally, but I'm a sucker for finding examples in other forms of media, um, or other forms of storytelling, maybe, as kind of examples of what people are trying to do with their game. I think it's a great way to get like just boom. This is the vibe. So I like that. Tons of components, 450 illustrations, 60 plus hours of gameplay, a whole bunch of cards, whole bunch of tokens, bunch of minis, bunch of words. Campaigns and missions are replayable, and then here we are with an even more showcasey image of all of the stuff you can get in this game. Obviously, this is content from multiple different boxes, but still, that is a heckin' chonk. All right, so let's go down. Pledge level summary. I think we're gonna do this pretty quick. So upgrade pledge if you've got everything already. Upgrade plus midnight. Only if you want essential components, bringing your 1.0 version up to date. Yeah, so they've revised the game based on a bunch of feedback over the years, which is good. And then upgrade plus midnight Odyssey. Veteran Online, yeah, so lots and lots of content in this game, that's for sure. We're just going to scroll on by that for now, though, because there's a lot of this, and it's not as exciting as other stuff. As far as cost, though, let's look at that really quick. What is the base game? Gameplay all in for 150 euros actually feels pretty good, and that's specifically with no minis. Euros always kills me because it's about like 50% increase on my Canadian buckaroos, but I feel like for that amount of content, that is reasonable. Scout Pledge, so this is going to be core game, Lands of the Night miniatures, NGM exclusive organizer, and stretch goals. For miniatures, I think that is maybe a touch on the pricey side, but also still within a fair range as long as the miniatures are good quality, which I believe they are pretty good for board game minis. And then what about just the base game? The Scout Pledge, is that you? No. Only minis pledge. That's good fun. Oh well, we'll keep going and get to a little bit more of what this game actually entails. We got some stretch goals coming up, which is fun. I think we're about to unlock the first goal, so additional status cards. Cool, cool, cool. Obstacle tiles, corrupting zone, thematic dice tower, and Umbra upgrade to plastic crystals. That's fun. So we'll see what else is going to be coming up soon too. Where is there a base game in here? No, there is not. No. Okay, let's keep going to the actual game itself. Core box, mushrooms in the dark, very cool. And again, like very unique art style with the minimal use of colors. Like it's all a little bit of white, cyan, that kind of like magenta-ish red, and shades of gray and black, and a little bit of white again, which is cool. All right, so that's probably the base game here, which is 109 euros. So getting the gameplay all in for 150 is pretty sweet. Again, love the art style. It's super unique and cool. Sculpts look good, and again, I'm pretty sure I remember watching some review videos of once this delivered, and the minis do look pretty good too. Again, board game miniatures, so nothing like tabletop wargaming, but still pretty good. So this is the board and how it goes together. I believe this is always where the Citadel goes, since we have the Citadel board, which is kind of like your home base, plateau board, scout board, shadow boards, minis. So we get the Pioneer, the Maenad, the Cyclops, and the Breathless. Very cool. Large cards, so we get different land locations, scout cards, exploration, citadel exploration, very tried and true having the outdoorsy exploration and the city exploration. Shadow cards, herald cards, outer lord cards, server droid cards. So I think server droids are things that help you mostly. Outer lords are kind of like the big bads, and then I think heralds are kind of like the mid tier. Then shadow cards are like the more minion kind of dudes, if I recall correctly. It's been a while since I've looked deeply into the game. Standard cards, so all kinds of kit and gear and stuff, a whole bunch of different options. And again, you can kind of see like the vibe of UI and everything too, very minimal, which is pretty cool. I don't know if minimal's not the right word. Minimal color palette. The UI itself isn't that minimal. All kinds of good stuff here. So lots and lots of components. Base game comes with standees, which honestly the standees are pretty sweet. Like they're very evocative of the setting with the once again that minimal color palette and such too. And being able to see the kind of darkness in the colors that are used is really cool. Be interesting to paint these actually. It'd be very interesting to paint these. Fun special dice, cubes, colored discs, standee holders, good stuff. Paper components, mission manual, and rule book. All right, what is this expansion? Oh no, this is older expansion, so this was out before. So Land of the Nightbox. This art and sculpt is so cool. It kind of reminds me of a Goblin Shark, just horrible sci-fi monstrous version of it. Sci-fi shadow Goblin Shark, shall we say. So what do we have in this one? 27 small minis, 4 medium, which I think are probably player characters, and then 3 big ones. So we got Servo Droids, Devourers, Moths, creepy kind of like DNA looking moths, Lurkers, the Hunter, Mind Blower. So I think these are probably Heralds actually. And then the 3 big guys here are, oh, there are 4 of them. These are probably Heralds though too. So I think Hunter, Mind Blower, Marauder, and Awakener are probably Heralds. And then we have 1, 2, and 3. The Shiberon, which actually I almost bought this game back in the day because I really wanted to do a D&D campaign themed around that like undead baby god thing. I can't remember the Atropop or something. I can't remember the name of it, but I thought that this miniature would be perfect for it. um, Avedon Ginon. Some more cool art. So Legacy. Legacy is the one that has the cool shark dude there, which is a great rendition of the art to sculpt, in my opinion. Some more player character stuff. Some Merciful Wretch. Quick coffee sip here. Yum. There we go. So the Whisperer, Skin Rider, Tizamita. We'll scroll on down because I want to see. So the Citadel expansion is pretty cool. And that's because it has this freaking behemoth. And again, how exactly it's used in gameplay, I'm not entirely sure. But the idea of it is you build it up over time, and it's like this multi-part miniature citadel that is like a kind of a centerpiece on the game board, and it can have multiple layers as you build it up over time, which is just a really cool deluxe concept. I like it a lot. So there it is there. And so great kind of representation of how it all goes together too, which is very, very cool. Midnight Odyssey. Okay, so this expansion we might cover in a little bit more detail just because it's the brand new one. So the mission manual, cards, the usual kind of expansion stuff. Mission manual, the miniature. So we get the Charon. Charon being like the person who sails the dead down the river Styx in Greek lore and such, if I remember. The Fisher, which is just kind of interesting with the river Styx in mind, I assume. Weaver, which looks like a gross, kind of like wasp nests, hermit crab thing. Super cool. Piper looks really creepy with kind of organs on its back. Very cool. The Splitter looks like, just judging from that split in the middle there, I'm assuming the miniature will split too, so it can be 2 bosses, or it can recombine into 1. Pretty cool. The Ascender, which looks extremely sci-fi and creepy with this kind of DNA helix vibe and little hands in prayer. Yeah, I like that a lot. And then the Aluka, which kind of Kingdom Death vibes with all the hands. Out of the 2, I think I like the Ascender more personally, but still a creepy cool kind of caterpillar looking fella. Large cards, standard cards, small cards. And so one quick little side too. So all of like the base game and the normal expansions deal with being in and around the Citadel and exploring that area and using the light of the Citadel in some regard. The Midnight Odyssey expansion is all about going on a Odyssey through the dark, which is just like a perfect, fun idea for an expansion to this game. I like the pitch a lot. Okay, so organizer, which is pretty cool, comes with a fancy organizer, does need to be assembled, but it looks extremely evocative. Again, this game just oozes theme and tone, which is wicked. It's a video about how it all goes together. There's an art book. Some games I think don't need art books, and I think this is a really cool one to do it because a lot of the art is quite small, and having it actually blown up properly to fit an art book page would be sweet. Sleeves. Oh, a soundtrack. That's fun. You cross through it. Deluxe soundtrack. Good stuff. Upgrade set. So this is again just going into details about like what they've updated since the base game came out. Painter sets. Oh, that's cool. So basically like some deluxe miniatures instead of the normal board game ones. Let's see. Does it say what it's... Interesting. Featuring every scout from the game. Doesn't say anything about how they're made, so I'm curious if this is different from the ones that come in the box or not. A little bit of clarification there would be good. Okay, cool. So that was a long stop talking about the content of the game, but let's actually get into a little bit of what the game is actually about here. Some highlights. Crafted by two, built for you. SHEOL was born from the vision of just two people, but it has grown into a world that stands proud among the industry's heavyweights. By keeping our team small, we've maintained total creative control, allowing us to deliver a unique, uncompromising, and deeply atmospheric experience that reflects our true passion for gaming. And once again, the art is just so sweet. It's unique for sure. Speaking of, let's take a look at some of the highlights. A unique sci-fi world. Sheol unfolds within a vast, mysterious sci-fi realm where shadows whisper and forgotten worlds await. The mission manual is rich with lore, scattered with side notes and hidden fragments of history, enough that many players have asked, why not turn this into a full-fledged role-playing game? For now, the board game is more than enough to challenge even the bravest explorers, but the journey through its secrets, legends, and revelations will make you feel as though you're stepping into a much greater saga. Cool, cool, cool. Again, like I always think of creepy hands, very synonymous with Kingdom Death, and these rock pieces look kind of like hands. Um, but yeah, and also lanterns and lights is synonymous with KDM as well. But again, still very much its own thing. Detailed illustrations. I've always taken great pride in my work, and the illustrations in the Sheol mission book are no exception. In fact, I believe they can hold their own against even the biggest names in the industry. Yeah, I'd say so. Again, just because the art style is so freaking evocative. Yes. Now, I know this might ruffle a few feathers, but here's my honest take. In many major productions, the art direction often plays it safe, aiming for mass appeal but losing a distinct visual identity along the way. The results? Polished certainty, but also a little bland. Yeah, I like that a lot because I think it's really easy to chase what works and more of a risk to do your own thing. And I think Shield definitely manages that well. With Sheol, I wanted something different. I wanted a style that felt bold and unmistakably unique, even if that meant it might not be everyone's taste. I'd rather take that creative risk than blend into the background. Yeah, I might have shared on this channel before, but I used to work in publishing, and one of the things that we would coach would-be authors on all the time is cover design. And you can either fit within your genre and try to excel at it, or you can try to stand out and be something that like really pops off the shelves when you're next to other things in your genre. And that's exactly what Sheol's doing. It's trying to, and I think successfully, standing out within its genre. On top of that, I wanted the illustrations in Sheol and Candelabria, which is also a very evocative game, to be rich in detail and built to last so that even when printed in large formats, they retain their impact. Yes, it costs more, but to me, that's part of what makes these games special, and it's a detail I hope players will truly appreciate. Yep, love that. Cool art of people within the Citadel. Kind of gives me also, in agree, Yumi the Nightmare Painter, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter vibes from Brandon Sanderson. The use of cyan and magenta neon lights. Um, Almost like if that world was a little bit further in the future, I could see it being like this. No AI, love that too. Good stuff. Some work in progress arts, cool, 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 and innovative gameplay. The word innovative is a bit overused in the world of board games. I read it in practically every campaign, even when it's not actually true. But in case of Sheol, players have confirmed that is truly innovative. Yeah, I feel the same way. I think it's very fair to say that's like unique is basically just a rehash of things that have come before or being inspired by something that comes before. And I mean that going back like hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years in the past. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like being inspired by things that motivate us and want us to create is great. And innovation is challenging when there's so many people doing different things or the same things within the same playground at the same time. So I haven't played this game yet, so I can't attest to that. But it's a bold statement to make, so I assume it's been backed out. The mechanics of passive lights, brightness levels of the enemies, and corruption are unique, in addition to being perfectly blended into the atmosphere of the game. This looks like a render, but again, a really solid representation of what like partway through the game would look like with our super cool goblin shark there. Love to see it. That's some expansion stuff. Very, very cool. Yeah, as far as renders, like these renders are really good. They look great. Example of what some of the stuff looks like in place. That is the Citadel board, and I think these are, I don't know, these are big badge or locations or something. I'm not sure. Novel-like gameplay features a story that has stood out and received widespread praise. It's a complex, layered narrative filled with subplots, twists, and unforgettable characters. The story is also beautifully presented in a graphically rich mission manual. Love that too. I really enjoy Kingdom Death for what it is kind of like a, for me at least, like a palate cleanse from like really text-heavy narrative games, like anything that Into the Unknown does, and it's really fun being able to jump between the two. And so I do picture this as kind of like more of a some influence of Kingdom Death, like I've said, or maybe not even influence, but like it similarities in my mind, but taking its own direction with more of a narrative bend to it. The story of Sheol. When the shadows reached the moon, a dark mass known as Sheol began to form like a black tide. It soon engulfed the entire moon, which then cried, "The shadows down to earth." Creepy. So basically, the moon seeping dark tears of shadow down onto the earth. Despite humanity's advanced technology, there was no way to stop the shadows as they spread across the planet, ultimately exterminating nearly all life. Again, not too dissimilar, not the same obviously, but not too dissimilar from You Mean the Nightmare Painter as far as like visualizing that. Earth became completely enshrouded in clouds, so dense that sunlight could no longer penetrate. The few survivors fled to the Isle of Light, also known as the Citadel, the last outpost of mankind. It was only after the fall that Lux, a form of radiant energy capable of destroying the shadows, was discovered. But by then, it was too late. Enlist in a scout corps. Cool. So I think we'll probably just use that as the quick little lore pitch. Obviously, feel free to pause your screen if you want to read this, or come and check out the campaign page because it will be linked below. And yes, intro story, which is fun. I read a little bit of it. Writing's good for sure. Is it amazing? I wouldn't say it's amazing, and I think that comes down to maybe like a little bit more editing, and it could be amazing. But what's there is good, especially for board game stories. Board game stories, in my opinion, fall flat for me more often than not. And it was good for a board game story for sure. Unique mechanics. We will read a little bit about this because they were obviously talking about how unique and innovative the game is. So let's touch on this for sure. The light stream paths. Cut through the night, creating paths of light and connect lost outposts. Create paths in the night and manage connections to distribute resources from facilities. These limited and shared resources are constantly at risk of being corrupted or destroyed. Players must plan carefully to extend them, repair them, or sacrifice them to reach new zones and keep shadows at bay. The shadow tries to cross the light beam, the shadow is pushed back. And then you flip it, and I'm assuming that that light beam has now been used. The world ended in silence, but the light streams hum like arteries of hope. Every path you build pushes the darkness back for a moment. Lose them, and the night reclaims everything. Lux as a single resource. Lux acts as ammunition, a power source, and life itself. To survive their missions, Scout have a finite number of Lux files at their disposal. Lux acts as both life points and ability points for actions. If the players do not use the resources well, or according to the specific skills of their character, they will soon deplete their Lux reserves and get corrupted. Inventory system, double layer board. Okay, so that's kind of what your player character is going to look like, and that sounds fun. I think it's really easy to have too many things to keep track of, and in my quick read on this, like having one kind of overarching stat or not commodity, yeah, commodity we'll say, resource, that's better word for it, to look after while it interacts with different things. Sounds like a good way to do it in my book. Your weapon is not just metal and lux, it's a reflection of your will to illuminate the impossible. Illumination levels. The more you see, the more dangerous it becomes. Creepy. In Sheol, each enemy has an illumination level. Like Heisenberg's indeterminacy principle, you don't know the true nature of your enemy until you illuminate it. Heralds and Outer Lords change their actions and behavior based on their illumination level. So I'm assuming that's kind of like an escalation mechanic, which is sweet, keeps things interesting. Reaction changes based on the illumination level. If an enemy is easier to hit, it will act more dangerously. Yeah, cool. So like actually like escalation of the easier you can hurt it, the easier it can hurt you kind of thing. There are many levels of darkness. Are you ready to reach the deepest of them all? Enemy AI managed through different patterns of behavior and levels of enemy intelligence. The movement of the base shadows, which can create shadow tiles, represents one of Sheol's main game dynamics. It's managed by the roll of a dice called a gravity die, which determines the axis along the base of the shadows move. In the game, the shadows will gradually move towards acceleration corridors and the citadel, which scouts will have to defend. A little example there too. Have a mind of their own. The coral bone formations work like an incomprehensible and alien neural system. Interesting. Mission branches, where you save your friends or abandon them. Each mission features a set of cards with choices and multiple paths to advance the story and gameplay. You have to follow the goals of the card and choose the path that you deem most suitable for your gameplay style to reach the end of its mission. The long sentence. The whole appearance of the mission cards and goals has been enhanced to improve player experience. So here is some example there. Looks pretty straightforward. There is no turning back once you see the true face of a shadow, and sometimes it is yours. Exploration. Every tile is... Okay, so I think we're probably going to just skip past some of this. So corruption and statuses. Very cool. If you go over a certain threshold, you become corrupted. Standard and heavy negative statuses that can drive your scout crazy. Push your equipment to its limits. Light shields, permanent death and decisions. I love to see that. Oh, there's actually more color in that art too. Very cool. Development phase. This is working on the Citadel. Just going to keep scrolling. Mission books. As you can see, this is an extremely long, very comprehensive campaign page, and it's worth like checking out and reading in full, in my opinion. Revised content. So extensively revised, a lot of brand new content too. It will be the definitive edition for existing players, or anyone really. Here's a list of some of the things that they've done. The main board, how that all works. The Citadel board, how that works. Enemy boards. Solo mode. Show and played alone is not easier. It's more authentic. So the solo mode has been completely redesigned. That is cool. Dice. Darkness level. That die looks freaking sweet. Land and printers. Okay, sci-fi printers. I was curious if it meant like the physical print of the games, characters and enemies. I think we're probably going to leave off here because this is going to be a very long video. But feel free to come and check things out. Let's just see out of curiosity here. So we are at miniatures, characters, and enemies, and there's a little bit more to go. Oh, painted minis. Let's go check out some painted minis, and then we'll end off the video there. But yeah, so tons of really cool stuff to see on this page, and definitely recommend coming to take a look at it here. These are the enemies. It's fun seeing the sculpt and the art. Always nice. And the way that they've organized this is great. Like it's shows you a lot of both the art and the sculpts without taking up a huge amount of space, which I love to see. Piper. Oh yeah. See, it's really cool seeing the art for that. Oh yeah. Oh, the expansion stuff looks sweet. That looks freaking cool. Gribbly and horrific, but so cool. Okay, onwards we go. Yeah, I really like this guy. Creepy, creepy, creepy. Vivian Eye. Outer Lords. Abaddon, the Crying Mountain. Ginon, the Walking Cataclysm. Shiberon, the Wandering Child. Creepy. To see Mita, the Swallowing Twister, so it's a Twister Shark, love it. Aluka, the Holy Voice. Yeah, I think, in my opinion, the art for this is more well done than the sculpt. The sculpt just looks like a little bit too chunky, like a caterpillar. Citadel, composing of 12 pieces, you will unlock during the game. We love to see that. Okay, painted minis. Love when campaign show painted minis. Done very much in the style of the game too, with that limited color palettes. These look freaking awesome. Oh man, yeah, whoever painted these did a great job. The bone motif. Ooh, the baby thing looks so creepy. Also kind of adorable in like a Ghibli kind of way. Looks like a painting video, probably that guy, which is sweet. Yeah, heck yeah. And then reviews and preview videos. So we're going to end it off there because I think this is going to be longer than I meant it to be, and we only covered like half of what was there. But go check out SHEOL Minute Odyssey. It's a really, really cool looking game, and if I had the time and budget, I would be getting it for sure. I'm not, because I'm trying to be responsible with what I do and do not back. Might try and pick it up sometime in the future because it looks freaking sweet, but not at the moment. But go check it out. If it's in your budget, it looks freaking awesome. But yeah, much love, and we'll catch you next time. Bye!